We are learning Likkutei Sichot, Volume 1, Sichot for Parshas Kedoshim, and in the Hebrew we're on page 245-246. And we started chapter 11, and hopefully we can finish chapter 12 and 13 today. So we were saying that because of the nature of the coming redemption, because of the nature of the revelation of Hashem, which we said is not going to be the way that Hashem is revealed today, that He is within you, right? The neshama comes into the body, and the neshama, its food is Torah and mitzvos. So basically you're revealing Hashem from the inside out. And you can only reveal Hashem as much as the Torah allows you to. But there's a lot of areas that the Torah leaves as sort of what people call a neutral territory. They say all these things, the universal things that people do, they eat, they drink, they go to sleep, all this is neutral. The Torah doesn't tell me how I'm supposed to do this, so I can do it any way I want. That belongs to me. That's called B'chol D'rachecha De'eu. In all your ways you should know Him. Even though these things are neutral, comes Chassidus and says a big principle is to add holiness in those things that are permissible and not required, not obligated. And we said that this becomes a vessel for the type of revelation that comes, because the revelation that's going to come is not from what we call the enclothement of the divine light within the worlds, in the same way that the neshama imbues itself, invests in itself within the body. Rather, it will be light that has no limits, and because it has no limits, it won't be limited to the world, meaning it won't be within the regular vessels of reality. It will permeate the space between the vessels. Okay? This is a big deal. The space between. It's sort of like, I was talking about this. No, Moshe Rabbeinu did that once or twice, but not from the Torah. For instance, that was the example I was just going to give. The Rebbe talks about this, that when they said the song at the sea, that was divine light permeating the reality between the people, not just within the people. Wow, how do we see that? Because they all said the same thing. How is it possible that they all said the same thing? So you could say, Nevuah, you don't need Moshe Rabbeinu to start. You don't need him to start. Everybody would say the same thing. The fact that Moshe Rabbeinu had to start, as Yashir Moshe Uvnei Yisrael, that he says the first line and then they repeat it, or that he says the first line and then they say the rest of all of it together, like Rabbi Akiva holds there in the sugya. That means that Moshe Rabbeinu opened the door to this light that permeates all of reality equally, and everybody partook of it. And then they could all be immersed within the divine light. So that's called immersion. And immersion is built by sanctifying the space between people, or the space between mitzvos, if you want. The space between the letters of the Torah.
That was greater than Mount Torah.
What?
That was greater.
Right? It was a residue of the existence they had from the patriarchs. And it's only spiritual. There's no mitzvah there. Right? There's nothing. The great thing about the future is going to be that even though it won't be a mitzvah, it will be, meaning this permeating the space between the mitzvahs, it will be b'chol d'rachecha de'eu. It will be a statement that Moshe from the Torah. It is a mitzvah. It already has a command from Hashem. You should know Him in all your ways. V'hu yasher orchotecha. So the moment that Hashem gave Himself in the Torah was very, very high. B'chol zot harei gam lecha matan. When the Torah was given, this limited the revelation of godliness only through the mitzvos, and not through other things. So a person can say from today till tomorrow, I see the godliness in this table. The truth is that as long as you're not using the table for a mitzvah, there is no revealed godliness in this table. But the moment that you're using it for a mitzvah, that you're saying Birkas Hamazon on it, the grace after meals, or you're using it to learn on it, or using it to do some other mitzvah on it, then the godliness in it is revealed. But that's because of the limitation of Matan Torah. That's the limitation of the giving of the Torah, that the light of Hashem permeated only through the Torah and the mitzvos. But the coming redemption is that the light permeates everything. And that's why it's called being immersed within the divine light. Hashra'ah. לפיכך הלכה שמצווה לקום מפני עושה מצווה. We brought an example that it's a mitzvah to stand up before someone who's performing a mitzvah. But once they finish doing the mitzvah, you don't have to stand up before them, because it's not the person themselves. But in the future, we're going to say kadosh, we're going to say holy to a tzaddik. The holy blessed one will be the tzaddik. Why? Because Hashem permeates everything, including the very body of the person. להסברת הדברים ביתר פירוט, we're chapter 12. נאמר בזוהר, it says in the Zohar, תלת דרגין אינון קודשא בריחו רייתא וישראל וכולו סתים וגליה. The beginning of, it's actually in our parsha, in the Zohar on Kedoshim. It's a very famous Zohar. What? We're in Emor, but in Chutz Haaretz they're in Kedoshim, and we're still learning Kedoshim. So we're still in Kedoshim in a manner of speaking. So, 3 levels there are: the Holy Blessed One, the Torah, and Israel, and they all have a revealed and a concealed dimension, all of them. הגליה של קודשא בריחא הוא האלוקות הקשורה לעולמות. What is the revealed aspect of the Holy Blessed One, of God? That's called how Hashem runs the world. That's the revealed. Do you see godliness in nature? You can call it godliness, but it's Elokim. It's not Yudke Vavke. It's not what you call the holiness of Yudke Vavke. It's something else. Hashem runs the world. That's called the Galia. Hadarga shemimena anagat hateva. It's how Hashem runs the world. Hasatim, that which is concealed, is how Hashem is greater. He's higher than the world. He's beyond the worlds, meaning He's beyond the limitations of nature. To be beyond the limitations of nature means that even though this...
He created nature, so He must be beyond it.
Sedum. That's what we said in the previous part of the Sichot. That's why we commemorate Shabbos, because Shabbos is a declaration that God is above nature. Again, it's fine, but we don't see it. It's concealed. We don't see this in day-to-day life. אלוקות שלמעלה מהעולמות, דרגה שממנה ההנהגה הניסית שלמעלה מהטבע. This is where miracles come from. Because miracles are basically, what are they doing? They're upchurning the laws of nature. So there are the laws of nature, which are the revealed aspect of Hashem, of God, and then there's a concealed aspect of Hashem where He is the creator of nature, and there He can turn around the laws of nature. He can shift them and move them in any way He wants, and that becomes the way that He runs the world with miracles. Be'omek yoter.
I disagree with you.
Why?
Because in day-to-day life, you see so much Hashgacha Pratis. You see so many amazing things.
It's interpretation.
Make absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's
And
interpretation. Okay, so those are miracles. So those are miracles.
That Hashem is running the world.
So if you see that, that's a miracle. If you see something out of the ordinary, that's a miracle. But to say that nature is a miracle, that's an interpretation. It's not how... Because scientists study nature and they're very happy and they have a very big smile on their face and they don't see any miracles. There's no miracles there. It just works. Ba'omek yoter, more in depth. Even what we call miraculous is really the revealed aspect. Even that is not yet what the Zohar is referring to when it says that Hashem has concealed dimension to Him. Because even though miracles are beyond the world, they go beyond the limits of nature. And those parts of the world, like us, cannot see it as a natural event. You can't see a miracle as a natural event. You can't say it's natural. It's not. And therefore you can't contain it. You can't fathom it. That's exactly why you're so impressed by it, because it's something that's beyond understanding. Which, by the way, most of the things that you say about Hashgacha Pratis, they are completely understandable. All you're saying is that there's a guiding light behind them, but they didn't upchurned nature. It wasn't that, suddenly gravity turned upside down. That's a miracle.
Last week we went out on Mitzvah on Thursday, right? We go to this base, and there's nobody in the base, and there's nobody there who wants to put on to them. And you think to yourself, you wasted your time. So you say to Hashem, listen, I came with a good Mitzvah, send me some customers. And there's a guy standing there, he's got a great big urn, and he's filling it up with food. And he says, I would like to put on tefillin with you guys, but I'm in charge of another base which is just opened up on a temporary basis. So if you come back with me, right, I'll put on tefillin there. And by the way, we have 120 guys, and most of them are religiously inclined, so they all want to put on tefillin. So you ask something, and you get an answer on the spot. And then we went back and we put on tefillin on an uncountable number, like Yosef in the sand.
Baruch Hashem. Did this man not have a mouth before you talked to him? He had a mouth. Was he capable of uttering words? He was. Yeah. Was there a base there before he started talking to you? Yes.
Was there a base of the other side?
Yeah, the temporary base. Yes, there was. You didn't invent it the moment. It wasn't Tach Picha ve'ayir dvarecha and he suddenly created it out of nothing. So that is nature. What you're saying is, I'm being guided by Hashem. It's very nice. But that is not a miracle. That's not a miracle. Nobody's going to call that a miracle. It's called Sedu. You say, I see Hashem guiding me. Baruch Hashem, it's very good. But that's not uprooting nature. Uprooting nature is like splitting the Red Sea. That is uprooting nature because water doesn't stand like a column. It doesn't do those things. Okay, we have to, but he says even that is still the revealed aspect of Hashem. Even the water standing up is still the revealed aspect of Hashem. Why? הרי בבחינה מפורטת תכלל גם היא בגל ידי קודש ברוך הוא שכן את הניסים רואים גם אתה בגילוי. Because they saw the water standing up like a column. If you can see it with your eyes, we don't care if Hashem turned physics upside down or not. It's something that a person can see. That is still the revealed nature of God because I can still see it. It's palpable. It's perceptible. What is the real concealed nature? The real concealed nature, those are miracles that you cannot see. You couldn't know, let's say that you don't know about this, but really there was no other base. And it was created just then, now, in that moment, but you would never know this.
No, we've been there before.
But you would never know this, right? So if you couldn't see it, that's what the Baal Shem Tov is saying all night in Istanbul. לעושה נפלאות גדולות לבדו. לעושה נפלאות גדולות לבדו, כי לעולם חסדו. So he's saying that. It's a tune that you can sing all night. And what was he saying? He was saying, Hashem, the miracles that you do for yourself that nobody knows about, that is your real loving kindness. The ones that you never share and nobody knows. Right? Imagine you could do miracles. Wouldn't you want everybody to say, wow, he can do a miracle? Hashem does that and he doesn't say a word. It's only between he and himself. The Baal Nes and Omekir Ben Iso. The person who received the miracle doesn't even know that nature was upturned, was overturned to make a miracle for him because he never saw it. But it happened. That is the real concealed nature of Hashem. ולכלפי זה נאמר, עושה נפלאות לבדו, אין יודע מן הנפלאות מלבדו. Nobody knows about these wonders except for him. לעתיד יבוא, גם הנפלאות בגילוי. In the future, even these miracles that you can't see, meaning in other words, the fact that nature is a miracle in and of itself, and that's what you were saying before, that will be revealed. That is the concealed nature of Hashem. The concealed nature is, why is nature a miracle? Because it's not really a law of nature. It's at every single moment Hashem has to decide to do this, and to do it again, and to do it again. The propensity of nature to continue acting constantly the same way, that propensity is a miracle. And that you'll see. What is it? That's the space that permeates the space between the atoms, between the particles, and causes them to act the same way all the time. That will be revealed.
There is still a difference, mitakesh, because you were totally unimpressed by what I said, right? And a person who was no connection with Hashem, what happened?
Okay.
So you have to have some connection to Hashem to be able to understand and appreciate what happened. So it is like it was created for you, because you can see that. you can see that Hashem put those people there this morning so that when you came along later, they would be able to come back with you and take.
If you are able to perceive what happened, then that is not the concealed aspect of Hashem yet. The whole point is that you could see that. So that's not what we're talking about. It doesn't matter. Maybe for them it'll be the Chiddush. But by us, that's not God's concealed nature. Again, what is equal for everybody, what is the same for everybody, that none of us see how Hashem is holding the world together. None of us see that. What do we see? We see Olam Keminago Noeg. We see that nature consistently acts the same way. That's what we see. We don't see that Hashem is holding it together. That will be revealed. That's the concealed part of Hashem that will be revealed. In any case. ופירוש הדבר, אני אראה אותן. גילוי העצמות. This is what's called the revealing the substance of Hashem, as it were. ידוע גם העניין של פעמיים זה הנאמר לגבי העתיד לבוא, בקריאת ים סוף אין אלא פעם אחת זה. Right? There's this, the relative pronoun, this. What is this? You're pointing at Hashem and saying this. So at the song at the sea, they only said it once. This is my God, and I will beautify him. I will endear him. But in the future, what are we going to say? Hine Elokeinu ze kivinu lo v'yosheinu ze havaya kivinu lo nagila v'nsimcha b'shuato. There in that verse from Isaiah, you say this twice. Why? Because there's a greater revelation of what was concealed before. Gilui anisim shel shidud hateva. That's what happened at the parting of the Red Sea. There was only the uprooting of nature. V'ilu la'atid yitgalu gam anisim anistarim pa'amayim ze. But in the future, even the concealed miracles, meaning how nature is even kept together, that will be revealed. Kach gam b'inyaneinu. So in our issue here, gilui ha'elokut shel ata hu rak b'torah u'mitzvot. The way that God is revealed now is only through Torah and mitzvot. V'lo ba'olam atzmo, and not in reality itself. Reality itself is concealing God. Lefichach ba'gilui rak b'shidud hateva. Therefore, the only way to reveal Hashem in nature today is through revealed miracle. V'ilu ha'elokut shebateva hi be'ester. But the godliness within nature, that's what we've been talking about, that God keeps nature working. Nature is not what you think it is. It's not this set of laws that, it's not a wind-up toy. It doesn't work that way. Every single moment that it exists, every single moment that these laws persist, is a miracle. Hashem making it that way. But that is concealed. But in the future, bish'at gilui atzmut, when the substance of godliness will be revealed, even nature itself, even the world itself, everything in nature will be speaking, I am godly. It will be revealed to us all. But there are three things here that are connected. Each one of them has a revealed and concealed level. God and Israel and the Torah. So כדי לקלוט איפה את סתים דקודש הבריחו, אפשרי הדבר על ידי עבודה של סתים דנשמה באמצעות סתים דאורייתא. And this is like the makir b'patish. If you want to reveal the concealed aspect of godliness, you reveal it with a concealed aspect of the neshama, which we've been talking about, is sanctify yourself with that which is permissible to you, specifically in things that are permissible, because that is the concealed aspect of the Torah, which doesn't tell you what to do with those permissible things. But it tells you in the pnimius, if you have a good sanctified. פנימיות התורה מסבירה את העניין של הוואי ואלוקים כול אחד, ששם אלוקים בגימטריה הטבע, ושם הוויה שלמעלה מהטבע, מהווים דבר אחד ואין עוד מלבדו. The pnimius, meaning the inner teachings of the Torah, which dwell in length on Havaya and God being one, that's Yichud HaElah, right? Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that's Yichud HaElah. And that's one of the top of Pnimius the Torah. מעוררת בנפש האדם הלומד ומתעמק בעניין את גוי אחד בארץ, שגם בעניינים ארציים הוא חש באחד. It awakens in you, this is a sweetening already of the animal soul. Goy echad, usually when you say goy echad ba'aretz, you mean the goy, the non-Jew inside of me. What do you mean? I mean my animal soul. It says, in the future, the animal soul is going to be revealed as holy. because it's part of the divine soul. It's not something completely separate. They're all one. It's like what the Rambam says in his 8 chapters, his introduction to Avos, to Ethics of the Fathers. So there he writes, in the end, the soul is one. Why? Because even the Tanya says, I have a divine soul, I have an animal soul. Says the Rambam, he wasn't talking about divine and animal, he was talking about the different forces in the soul. He was talking maybe only about the natural soul, about the animal soul. And yet he says, but in the end you have to understand it's all one. Why? Because in the end it reflects godliness. In the same way that God reflects godliness and the world reflects godliness, so the soul also reflects godliness. It also has to be one. This needs more explanation, but basically what he's saying is that in the future your connection to the mundane will become holy. That's what we've been saying. The permeation of light within the space between things, that will reveal the holiness of God in everything. And so everything will become holy. Even in mundane things, you'll feel that God is one. And that, when you feel that, you have to be holy. But of course, the way to do this is like we said, that you have to touch the inner aspect of your own soul, which you touch through sanctifying the permissible things, and then דבר הנובע לעצמותו הוא, סתים די ישראל, מתוך כך הוא נעשה כלי לקליטת סתים דקודשא בריך הוא. And by doing that, by connecting to your own concealed aspect, you reveal God's concealed aspect. So that's the second part of the Sichot. And it's all about what we call separation, because this holiness in general is separation. But it's all about how I identify with Hashem. The last part was incredible. That the last part is mamish, that if I do one thing in myself, I become the same as Hashem. And that's what he was saying. יכול קדושתי כקדושתכם. Can my holiness be like? Can your holiness be like mine? בניחותא, yes. Okay, so it's another explanation for how can it be that the holiness is the same. And so we.